Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 12,100 subscribers. And of course, if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. Let me turn that up a little bit. We are a bit early tonight. Goodness me. We are a bit early tonight. Apologies if you didn't know and you've missed the start of the live stream, but we are here. There's actually plenty of you here, so we love to see it. And there's lots to talk about. Lots of news. There are big signings in the Premier League today. Not for Arsenal, but there are big signings to talk about. There is some Arsenal news to talk about, obviously, on Merino and Nketiah, and what those big signings mean for those clubs, but what they could also mean for us as well. So plenty to talk about. It's a Friday evening. It's the weekend. You love to see it. Woodsy, good to see you. Top players, Saka the Goat, Junior Films, Sport Cat, Lord Ferguson of Aberdeen, Hyper Protagonist, Ethan Udall, Ross Lawman, Saliba, and many, many more. It is good to see you all. Smokers cough? No. I am a non-smoker. And a non-vapor. Don't do any of that stuff. So now Neto's gone, and so is Eddie. Surely that means we do buy a striker, right? Maybe. What are you having for dinner tonight? I've actually already eaten. Had hot dogs and salad, and it was lovely. But no, straight after this, I've got to drive all the way back to the homeland. So that is why the stream is a little earlier this evening. There also won't be a stream tomorrow evening or Sunday. So we'll be back. As you can see, look. Oh, no, wait. As you can see, we'll be back on Monday evening for the next YouTube stream after this one. I apologize. I apologize for that. Just honestly, people deciding to have birthdays. What can you do? Oh, perfect. I was waiting for you to show up. So that I could ban you. Absolutely sensational. Excited for the new TikTok challenge? Yes, we will have a new TikTok challenge. So, Eddie Nketiah, the news on Eddie Nketiah today. We'll get through the Arsenal specific ones and then we'll move on to everything else that's happened today. Ornstein this morning said Arsenal are ready to sanction Eddie Nketiah's exit for Marseille. Proposed deal is a season-long loan with a buy obligation in the region of 30 million euros. Personal terms for the 25-year-old striker agreed on a 5-year contract. The ball is now in the court of Olympique Marseille. So 30 million euros, probably the most we could have expected to get for him. I think a loan with an obligation. So obviously, loan with obligation means they will have to buy him next summer. So it doesn't matter too much. Loan with an option would have been questionable, but loan with an obligation, we're going to get a lot of money next summer, right? We are going to get a lot of money next summer, and 30 million euros, I think, is fair enough. So I think the latest was that Marseille were umming and ahhing about whether 30 million euros was going to be acceptable, but I think it's going to happen. The fact that the two clubs had negotiated, then split apart, realised that there were no better options out there, and now are negotiating again. I think when that happens, the deal normally goes through. TBR Football says TBR Football is told that Eddie Nketiah is focused on joining Marseille, with Roberto De Zerbi pushing hard for a deal. But Bournemouth have made inquiries to check out the potential of jumping in on the move. So, look, if Marseille aren't quick with it, Bournemouth could come in for him. Why might Bournemouth come in for him? Because according to Fabrizio Romano this evening, Dominic Solanke to Tottenham Hotspur is done. £65 million Solanke to Tottenham Hotspur. And so, look, Bournemouth have got cash in the bank ready to spend on a striker. So that would be decent if Bournemouth can come in for him and then we can, slightly raise Nketiah's fee. Obviously, that would be ideal. I would imagine, even though Nketiah has agreed personal terms with Marseille, I would imagine he'd rather stay in the Premier League. Now, Marseille is a much, much bigger club than Bournemouth, but it's Premier League. It's living, in the south of England. It's quite nice. So you would imagine he'd rather play for Bournemouth, but we'll see. If we can use that situation to leverage a little bit more money for him, then happy days. Hate to say it, but Spurs attack is looking good. I would have been more concerned if they'd gone and got Pedro Neto. I'd have been more concerned if Spurs had got Neto. Because I think, like Solanke and Richarlison, if they're just going to compete for the same spot, I think they're a similar level. I think Solanke and Richarlison are a similar level. And I said yesterday that stat that actually in all of the per 90 stats, Richarlison outperformed Solanke last season. So, for 65 million quid, I think that's their record signing. It's quite a lot. I think a record signing of 65 million for a player who truthfully had one very good season last season. But outside of that, he's not shown himself to be a 65 million pound striker outside of that. So, I'm sure they're happy with it, and I'm sure Spurs fans are happy with it. But look, if it means that we get more money for Nketiah, then I don't care. Are we able to register that 30 million euros this summer because it's an obligation to buy, or will we have to wait until next summer when we actually get the money? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Smash the like button, please, chat. Let's hit 100 ASAP. Yes, please. Wilsey, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Ibrahim, good to see you back as well. I rate him, to be honest. He has a good all-round game. No, he does. He has a solid all-round game. He had a great season last season. If they get that version of Dominic Solanke and that is his true level and he can sustain that level, then I think it's a very good signing for them. The only worry would be that he's 26 years old and that's the first time that he's really shown it. So we'll see. We'll see. Hello, remembered just now that the stream started early. Jax, good to see you. Good to see you. So, yeah, look, on Eddie Nketiah, I think it's going to happen. I think it will happen relatively quickly, unless it ends up being a bidding war between Bournemouth and Marseille. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, on to Mikel Merino. Mikel Merino, this came from Matteo Moretto last night initially. He said, Mikel Merino has already communicated his desire to join Arsenal. Negotiations are progressing as planned. Fabrizio Romano followed that up by basically confirming what Matteo Moretto had said and then saying that it was looking like it was going to be, well, he said over 25 million euros. Now, over 25 million euros could be anything, right? Over 25 million euros, that could be 100 million euros. Obviously, it's not. But previously, Fabrizio had been reporting it as over 30 million euros. So the fact that he's gone from saying over 30 million euros now to saying over 25 million euros, presumably that means the price has come down and it's not over 30 million euros, which just means it's even better value. If we can get him for like 27, 28 million euros, I mean, it's very, very good value for a player that's just turned 28 years old. So that is progressing. Graham Bailey said sources have told HITC that there is a quiet confidence from those within Arsenal that a deal for Merino could be completed this weekend. Mikel Arteta is understood to want Merino signed and available ahead of Arsenal's opening league match next weekend. HITC understands that Mikel Merino and his representatives have asked Real Sociedad not to price him out of an Arsenal move this summer. Arsenal looking at a deal worth around 25 million, but as yet, Sociedad are yet to agree to the terms of the deal. HITC has been told that talks between Merino's camp and Sociedad are ongoing. So, yeah, I think obviously it's going to happen. I'd be very, very shocked at this point if it didn't happen. Merino's very keen on it. We want it to happen this weekend. I mean, look, don't rule out Mikel Merino being at the Emirates on Sunday. Clubs love to do that. So 5 p.m. on Sunday, obviously we've got Leon at the Emirates. Don't be surprised if you see Mikel Merino there. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, we'll see. If we don't get a viable 8, we are screwed. Well, I think we are, right? I think Merino's going to happen. So I think it'll be all right. Rory, are we poor because it's taking forever to close deals? I don't think it's because we're poor. I think we just, why not? Why not? We saved millions on Calafiori. If we save a few million on Merino, you do that. If you, for example, right, if you look at the 3-year cycle of PSR, the 3-year cycle of FFP, right? Let's say we save 5 million on Merino and 5 million on Calafiori. So we save 10 million. And we do that next year and we do that the year after. That means within every 3-year cycle, you're saving yourself 30 million quid. Like, you can save yourself an entire extra signing within the 3-year cycle just by spending a little bit longer on negotiating. So I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's sensible. Yes, it can be a little bit annoying. Yes, waiting and waiting is a little bit frustrating. But realistically, and as an example, right? Let's say we save 4 million on Merino. That's what we sold Mika Bierith for. We sold Mika Bierith for 4 million quid. So if you look at that 4 million quid and we save it on Merino, let's say we'd not saved it. Let's say we'd just done the deal quickly and we'd spent the extra 4 million. Effectively, you're saying that like you're basically writing off the entire value of Mika Bierith to get a deal done 2 weeks more quickly. And you think about all of the time and effort and energy that you've put into Mika Bierith to get him to the point where you can sell him for 4 million. Maybe it was 6 million, 4 million, 6 million, whatever. You get my point, right? The point is, you put all of that time and effort into getting this player that's worth a few million to then just rinse it and write it off for the sake of a couple of weeks. I don't know. Should I go for an Indian or a Chinese tonight? Oh, Indian or Chinese? I'd go Chinese, but I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit warm this evening. It's a bit hot in here. I don't know if it's maybe would I go Chinese? Problem is then you'll be thirsty all night. So I don't know. I can't watch on bring Gyökeres already. Yeah, we'll talk about that. What's the value in having a player ready for the first game of the season rather than a month later? Not 4 million quid. Not 4 million quid. And it is it's 2 weeks difference, isn't it? Especially, and not 4 million quid, especially when you've got the depth that we have. Like, not having Merino for the opening game is not going to stop us starting with a midfield of Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, or Jorginho, Rice, Ødegaard, or Rice, Havertz, Ødegaard. So, with Arsenal refusing to lower 40 million for ESR and 30 million for Eddie, plus with refusing to pay 50 million on Calafiori, we've essentially saved 28 million euros so far. Exactly. It all adds up. Now, the other side of that is thinking, well, actually, does it mean anything whatsoever when Chelsea are just out there spending unbelievable amounts of money year after year after year and cheating their way to do it? Well, then you've got a different question. But no, I think it's sensible. So that is it on Merino. I think Merino's going to happen pretty quickly. There's nothing really to suggest. Like, even the Zubimendi to Liverpool is advancing, but everyone's saying that that's not got anything to do with Merino and it won't stop the Merino deal happening. So I think we're fine. A little bit of interesting news, I guess, on the Zubimendi to Liverpool move. Fabrizio Romano. Many clubs tried to convince Zubimendi in the last couple of years. Barcelona, Bayern, Arsenal. Many clubs spoke to the player, but he was never keen on the move. But he followed that by saying, it is important to clarify, Arsenal were never negotiating for Zubimendi this summer. So whether it was because he'd rejected us or sort of knocked us back a few times previously, I don't know. But Arsenal were never in for Zubimendi this summer. There is not one player at Chelsea that I want. No, not me. Mudryk might be okay. He clearly preferred Arsenal. We're not going. I don't want Mudryk. I don't want us to go. The only way I would accept us getting Mudryk is if we bought him for £7 million and sent him on loan to the Championship. That is the only way that I would be happy bringing in Mudryk. Otherwise, I'm not interested. If Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly get minutes on Sunday, do you think that confirms the feeling that they're part of the first team this season? Yeah. I think they are part of the first team this season. I really do. Interestingly, it does sound like Arsenal are preparing for Tommy Setford to be part of the senior squad this season. I saw a thing saying that his name has been written above somewhere, which is basically where like the senior squad players have been written down. I think it's in the changing room. I think above like the things. So it may well be that Tommy Setford ends up being a senior squad player, which I don't think is a bad idea. He'll still be able to play games for the under-21s. Obviously, if he's third choice keeper, he can still play for the under-21s, but he can also get a good feel for the senior team, get used to being around all of the senior players, and also learn from Ramsdale and Raya consistently. On Ramsdale, Sam C reports, who's a guy who works for the United stand, but he seems to get information from everywhere, to be fair. He said Southampton are interested in signing Aaron Ramsdale on loan. The player could be open to a temporary move, having already spoken to manager Russell Martin. However, Arsenal are not considering loans for Ramsdale as things stand. So Arsenal don't want to let Aaron Ramsdale go on loan. No one is in the market to buy him. So he may well end up at Arsenal again next season. And in which case, I think we'll just end up with Raya, Ramsdale, and Setford. And we probably wouldn't go and buy Dan Bentley at that point. And I think I'd rather have Setford as the third choice keeper than Bentley. I don't really see the point in going and getting Bentley to be the third choice keeper. Like people talk about the dressing room experience. He doesn't have any dressing room experience in a title race. He doesn't have any dressing room experience in the Champions League. And we've got dressing room experience as it is. Ramsdale and Raya are both established senior goalkeepers, so I don't really see the point in doing that. I'd rather give Setford the learning experience, but we'll see. I already posted once, so sorry for the repeat. When we speak of a player's wage being X amount per week, is that based on a 52-week year, or is it the football season amount of weeks? That is based on a 52-week year. That is based on a 52-week year. Because it's actually based on like an annual net salary, so you spread it out over the weeks. Merino, Gyökeres, and Nelson upgrade. Still a lot to do this window. Yeah, well, we're not going to get a striker and a winger. I would be very, very surprised if we managed to do that. How many minutes do you want for Nwaneri MLS this season? This is probably not going to happen, but I want 1,000 minutes in all comps for each. They are ready, improve the team, and show up halfway. I would be surprised. Yeah, they're not going to get 1,000 minutes each. Unless we get a very, very nice couple of cup runs. I would say sort of 600 to 700 minutes. I would say 600 to 700 minutes would be good. Why be concerned about Ramsdale? How many games did he actually play last season? Well, it's not really being worried about him. It's just that we've got a valuable asset that is losing value rapidly. Does Solanke to Spurs worry you? Is he really a Benzema in profile? I haven't paid any notice to him. Yeah, I've seen people arguing about this on Twitter today because a few people have said he's a Benzema profile, and then other people get really annoyed and like, he's nothing like Benzema. He's not Benzema. He is a similar profile to Karim Benzema. He is not a similar quality to Karim Benzema. That's the difference, right? People confuse when you say this person is a similar profile to this person. They think that you're comparing their ability. You're not. You're comparing their style, the style of player that they are. And Solanke is quite similar to Benzema in many ways. No worries, lad. Good to see you. He's not the same level, but he is a similar profile. Does it worry me? Not particularly, no. How many signings do you think we're making this summer? I think we'll make Merino and I want to say one more. I want to say one more after Merino because I think if we sell Eddie Nketiah, we have to go out and get a replacement for him or an upgrade. So, yeah, I think it will be. I think it will. Because if we sign Merino for like 27 million euros and we got, what was Calafiori? Like 45 million euros? That means we've spent like 70 million. It means we spent like 60 million quid this summer. And we'll have raised more than that between Smith Rowe, Eddie, Nuno Tavares. So it does leave us with money to spend. So I would like us. Look, I want us to get Victor Gyökeres. And I will say this. Neto to Chelsea means I can't see Chelsea spending much more this summer. I'd be very, very surprised if Chelsea, having signed on Marodion, now signed Pedro Neto, if they somehow go back in for Osimhen, I mean, we need to call the police, right? Spurs, who I was really worried that Spurs would get Victor Gyökeres, like that was genuinely a nightmare if Spurs got Victor Gyökeres. They've gone and got Solanke. So now I'm looking at it and I'm like, Osimhen and Gyökeres both need to go somewhere this summer. And the buyers for them are vanishing. And so I still think we get one of them. And obviously I want Victor Gyökeres. And I don't know. I just feel like it's going to happen. I just have a feeling. I've got a feeling. And I hope I'm right. Fab said that Chelsea could still be in the market for another forward. Osimhen saying he has no intention on taking a lower wage. I just don't see how Chelsea could do it. I really don't. We were supposed to have 150 in ESR money. It's like 100 mils. So Big money move incoming. I hope so. I really do hope we can make a big move after Merino, but we will have to. I don't understand. I don't understand how we couldn't make that move unless Arteta just really doesn't want the players. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to focus on sales now. At least 10 more sales to go. Yeah, you need to sell a lot of players or send them on loan. But I think, aren't you running out of foreign loans? Because you're only allowed to send a certain number of players on loan abroad, I believe. So so you might be in trouble with that because you can only send so many of them on loan before you run out of. I don't know. Last day Gyökeres, I pray. I reckon the instalments for Rice have delayed our transfer money, but I do worry we must be close to PSR. I don't think we were close to we were close to it, but I thought this summer it had knocked off. I don't know. I don't know is the truth. But how good do you think Ferdi Kadioglu is? Why do some people doubt Gyökeres? Kadioglu is good, very versatile. I imagine he'll end up in the Premier League this summer. Not sure who at. And why do some people doubt Gyökeres? Because he was playing at Coventry the season before last, and because he's playing in the Portuguese league now. And they've probably not watched him. Sporting Lisbon are playing tonight. If Victor Gyökeres doesn't play, does that mean he's coming to us? Maybe. Or maybe he's still dealing with the knee injury. But no, the Victor Gyökeres strain is still going. We are still at full steam ahead. Look, there's over 300 of you here. So if you could click that like button whilst you're here, get us to over 100 likes. That would be absolutely fantastic. Just if you're on mobile, close the little chat, click the like button, open the chat again, bish, bash, bosh. That would be sensational. Anyway, look, Pedro Neto to Chelsea. Copium. Now, this is something that actually annoyed me a little bit today because we said on this stream, on this channel, time and time and time again, when it came to Pedro Neto, very good player, would improve our squad, but big question marks over his injury history. And he wasn't, especially when Elise was still available and Nico Williams, he wasn't necessarily the number one option because of his injury history. Very good player, injury history a concern. And I feel like we've continued to say that today after he's moved to Chelsea, which, by the way, 60 million euro flat fee, only 3 million euros in add-ons. So it's a big, big guaranteed fee, in 60 million euros. I think it is not salty to turn around and say that's a lot of money for a player that has a lot of injury problems. If he stays fit, he will do very well for them. If he stays fit, he upgrades the team. He upgrades the starting 11. But that is a massive if for a player. And I didn't even realize quite how bad his injury history was or his availability issues had been, right? I know he'd had big injuries. Pedro Neto's been in the Premier League for 5 years, right? In total, Pedro Neto has been at Wolves for 190 Premier League games. 190 Premier League games. He started 75 of them. 75 starts in 190 games. In total, he scored 11 goals in the Premier League in 5 years. In the last 3 years, he only scored 3 goals. Now look, I'm not saying that he can't get back on track. I'm not saying he can't shake the injuries, but there are legitimate reasons why, because this was what people were saying. No, 6 p.m. is not the usual time. This is a one-off. Well, it's not technically a one-off because we also did it last Friday, but it occasionally happens on a Friday if I have to drive back to the homeland for the weekend. The point is this. 75 starts out of 190 possible games, 11 goals in 5 years. I think there's a reason that Arsenal weren't in for him. And the reality is Arsenal were not in for Pedro Neto at that price. I think Tottenham, there was a thing that came out. Tottenham offered cash plus Oliver Skip for him. Originally, Chelsea had offered Trevor Chalobah, Datro Fofana, and a bit of money for him. And eventually, they just ended up paying 60 million euros plus 3 million euros in add-ons. So, I think, look, I understand why some Arsenal fans are annoyed because they wanted him. But I can also very much understand why Arsenal didn't want to spend that much money on a player with that injury history. And to an extent, that output as well. Bear in mind, Nicola Pepe scored 16 goals in 80 games for Arsenal in the Premier League. 16 goals in 80 games, appearances. Pedro Neto total has made 111 appearances, 75 starts, 111 appearances. He scored 11 goals. Like, Pepe outperformed Pedro Neto. And he's considered one of the biggest flops in Premier League history. Unfairly, in my opinion, but still. So I'm not saying that Pedro Neto is on the level of Pepe. I'm not saying Pedro Neto is going to flop. None of that. I'm just saying in the context, I don't think Arsenal fans should be angry that we haven't. Because, by the way, if Chelsea offered 60 million euros, we'd have had to go above that if we wanted him. So I'm not. I don't think Arsenal fans should be angry that we've not paid over 60 million euros for Pedro Neto. Neto at Arsenal, he'd be rotational and start a few games, but at Chelsea, they'll run him into the ground. I mean, they might run him into the ground, but equally, they've also got a lot of wingers at Chelsea. Madueke, Cole Palmer, Raheem Sterling, Mykhailo Mudryk. I mean, they've just brought Omarodi on, and Nkunku is playing through the middle, meaning presumably Nicholas Jackson's going to have to play games off the wing at some point. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think Neto at his best is a wonderful footballer and can play for any team in the league when firing, but the injuries are a huge issue, and we can't be annoyed at Edu Arsenal for not going for it. I agree. And we've seen, even before, literally today, but before the Pedro Neto to Chelsea news had broken, there was a thing talking about how much Arteta and Edu focus on injury history when buying players. If you look at the players that we've bought recently, all of them have pretty clean, solid injury histories. It is a factor, whether it's Declan Rice, Kai Havertz. Calafiori is a bit of an outlier, really, because he had that massive injury. Jurrien Timber, before doing his ACL at Arsenal, had a clean history. Even the likes of Thomas Partey, really. If Merino is injured, would we still sign him or wait for January? Fabrizio Romano said Merino is not injured. Marino's not injured. The reason that he's not in the Sociedad squad is because he is about to transfer. Are you going to watch Gyökeres tonight? No, I won't actually be able to. I'll try and watch highlights or whatever, but like I said, I'm driving. I'm driving tonight, so I won't be able to watch the game. I do genuinely wonder why so many players are actually going to Chelsea. Makes me think agents like George Mendes actually make the decisions for the players. Yeah, I think they do. What was Tomiyasu's injury history before Arsenal? I don't think it was bad. I don't actually know, but let me have a look. I must have looked at it before. Because it came up with a purple link. Before Arsenal, so he missed in 2021. He missed 4 games with a calf injury and then 6 games with muscular problems and then 2 games with knee problems. Well, that was in the summer. No injuries at all in the 2021. Oh, no. Hamstring injury. It wasn't brilliant, to be fair. He had a few muscular injuries. It wasn't brilliant. But it wasn't as bad as it has been since we bought him. Do we still sign a winger? I think we sign a winger or a striker. But I think there are a couple of big profile strikers that are available that are going to get sold this summer in Osimhen and Gyökeres that are more available. Like the winger market, now that Neto's gone, obviously Elise went. Nico Williams doesn't seem like it's going to happen. The winger market now, I mean, Johan Bakayoko's still there, but I don't know what's happening with him. We need a forward. If we sell Eddie Nketiah, look, regardless of what you think of Eddie Nketiah, regardless of what you think of Emil Smith-Rowe, if we sell both of those and don't sign any attacking players as replacements, our attack is worse next season than it was this season because it's the same players we had last season minus a bit of depth. So if we do have an injury crisis, not even an injury crisis, if Jesus needs a rest, we're in trouble. So I think we have to go out and get an attacking player. I really like Boniface. I don't know. I've never been sold on him. Personally. But there you go. I got to do the 100th like. That's the first for me. There you go. Guna Greg got us to 100 likes. I appreciate all of you that have clicked the like button as well. there's 370 of you here. Some of you haven't subscribed either. So we're on the way to 12,100 subscribers. Please feel free to click the old subscribe button. That would be sensational. I have a bad feeling we'll not sign anyone other than Merino, but we'll reassess in January. Yeah, maybe. There's Zdenov. I don't know who that is. I literally have no idea who that is. We should be tapping up Simons next season. We should be. We should have been tapping up Simons this summer, to be honest. Although apparently he doesn't want to move to the Prem. He doesn't fancy the challenge of the Prem. Any cheap short-term strikers you would go for? No, and I don't want to. We are beyond, in my opinion, we've progressed beyond cheap short-term answers. I think. I'd rather figure out a way of, if suddenly we really needed a striker, I'd rather figure out a way of playing like Martinelli through the middle and integrating, I don't know. I don't want to. Oh, Tsigankov. I do know Tsigankov. I do. I don't know if he is available, to be fair. 100 likes reached. Can we get to 200 during the stream? If you're liking the video, then like the video. Thank you very much, Wilsey. I appreciate you. Desiree Doué, Bakayoko, Simons. Has Doué gone? I can't remember if Doué moved in the end. Did he move? Wasn't he going to... he went to Roma, right? Oh, no. Did he go to Roma? Or am I thinking of someone else? No, I'm thinking of Sule. I'm thinking of Matthias Sule. The Baranchea lad. Wonder if there's anything more there. I don't know. We looked at his stats and it stunk, but obviously you can't just judge a player by their stats. The Leverkusen reminded me of how good we actually are. I genuinely think we can win the league without any signings, but that we needed players for the Champions League. I agree. No, we'd already hit 12. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but we had already hit 12K. We're on for 1,200. We're aiming for 12,100 now. We hit 12K. I can't remember when we hit 12K. It was a few days ago. But I do appreciate it anyway. I do appreciate it. Yeah, no, we did already do it. We're on for 12,100 now. That is the next target. I do think Arsenal Coman on loan this season. Coman on loan, yeah, I don't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. Look, it's depth. Coman on loan is fine because it's just depth. And I don't know what wages he's on, but to be honest, I think we have to go all out for Osimhen or Gyökeres. Realistically, we have only spent 75 mil so far, Calafiori and Merino, so surely we have a bit of money to splash. That's my hope. That is my hope. That is my hope. But time will tell. Time will tell. Hopefully, I just want to see Merino on Sunday. I want to see Merino at the Emirates for the Lyon game on Sunday. That is what I'm hoping for. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner. I'm going to give you 5 clues about an ex or current Arsenal player, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. So get your fingers on your keyboards because we are starting now. Clue number 1, this player is 26 years old. Clue number 1, this player is 26 years old. Clue number 2, they scored 3 goals in 132 games for Arsenal. Clue number 2, they scored 3 goals in 132 games for Arsenal. Clue number 3, they are from Haaland. Clue number 3, they are from Haaland. Clue number 4, they had loan spells at Ipswich Town, West Brom, Roma, and Southampton. Clue number 4, they had loans at Ipswich Town, West Brom, Roma, and Southampton. And clue number 5, they currently play for Lyon. Clue number 5, they currently play for Lyon. Who is the player? Make sure I don't get VAR checked. Make sure I don't get VAR checked. Well, that is disappointing. That is disappointing. Chat, I am disappointed in you. A Haaland, and it was a Chelsea fan that got it first. Sportcat, credit to Sportcat. It was indeed Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and a Chelsea fan has beaten every single one of you to a Haaland. Ethan Udall was second. Leo the Gooner was third. Milland was fourth. And VV Vlad was fifth. Completely guessed that as well from the loans clue. Oh, wait, there's VAR. There's VAR. There's VAR. Ross Lawman might have saved you, chat. Chat, Ross Lawman might have saved you. Ross Lawman might have saved you. Oh, he did. He did. I missed it because he'd initialed it. Ross Lawman saved you. It was Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I scrolled past it because he put AMN instead of Maitland-Niles, but we know that is correct. That was early on as well. That was early on from Ross Lawman. There you go. Happy days. Sport Cat, I apologize. Sport Cat, I completely apologize. But Ross, back on top for Ross Lawman. There you go. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I'm going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community, but not as much respect as Ross Lawman currently has. This player started their career at the Borussia Dortmund Academy. They went to Bayern Munich permanently. They then went back to Borussia Dortmund permanently. They then went to PSV Eindhoven permanently. They then went to Frankfurt permanently. Dortmund Academy, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, PSV, Eintracht Frankfurt. It was not Nuri Sahin. I think we've done Sahin on here before. I think we have. The winners, Ethan Udall. There you go. Ethan Udall has won it. Ross Lawman was second. Nearly got the dirty double. Third was Sam Shapiro. Fourth was Mr. Abdu. And fifth was Nuances of Fate. So there you go. Congratulations to Ethan and to Ross. And that is going to be the end of the stream because I need to get moving. So look, I will be back on Monday evening. There will be no streams over the weekend whilst I'm away. Obviously, I'll be at the Arsenal game. I'm traveling back on Sunday to get to the Arsenal game. There will be some content Sunday evening, probably. Maybe even a Twitch stream Sunday night. I'll let you know. Twitch link is down in the description below. But until then, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Please do like and subscribe before you leave. And I will catch the majority of you on Monday. Goodbye.